What if I told you the Nazis believed they could unlock supernatural power to win World War II? That Hitler's inner circle searched for the Holy Grail, lost civilizations, and ancient weapons of the gods, not in myth, but in real life. This is no conspiracy theory. This is what really happened. Behind closed doors, the Third Reich was obsessed with the occult, funding bizarre expeditions, performing secretive rituals, and conducting unimaginable experiments to prove their race was destined to rule the world. But did any of it actually work, or was it all delusion wrapped in myth? Stay with me, because the truth is even stranger than fiction. Before Hitler ever rose to power, Germany was drowning in a sea of mysticism, secret societies, and racial myths. Many believed that the German people weren't just a nation, but the descendants of an ancient, lost civilization. Some thought their ancestors were survivors of Atlantis. Others claimed they came from a forgotten race of godlike beings from the Arctic. This wasn't just folklore. Powerful figures in Germany took these myths seriously. One of the most influential was the Thule Society, a secretive group obsessed with Aryan purity, ancient runes, and lost knowledge. Its members believed they could tap into supernatural forces, and among them were men who would later help form the Nazi Party. The Thule Society's teachings were heavily influenced by Ariosophy, a mystical ideology combining Germanic folklore, occultism, and racial supremacy theories, a blend of Germanic paganism and theosophy, which promoted the belief that Aryans were spiritually superior to other races. Additionally, the Nazis relied on propaganda and pseudoscience to reinforce their ideological beliefs. Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi minister of propaganda, used films, books, and public displays to promote the idea of Aryan superiority and to discredit scientific findings that contradicted their racial theories. The Nazi regime also manipulated historical records and archaeology, rewriting Germany's past to fit their racial ideology, much like totalitarian states rewrite history to maintain control over national identity. The Ahnenerbe, the Nazi regime's occult-tinged research division, was obsessed with rewriting human history to fit their racial ideology. While their 1938 expedition to Tibet has become infamous, it was only one chapter in a far broader and more disturbing campaign. Their teams reached into the frozen fjords of Scandinavia, seeking runestones and ancient burial sites that might prove Nordic peoples were the purest descendants of a mythic Aryan race. In the Middle East, they hunted relics and religious texts that might reveal a distorted lineage connecting Germanic peoples to the ancient Indo-Aryans of Persia and India. But perhaps the most audacious of all was their quest for Atlantis, not as Plato envisioned it, but as a supposed cradle of Aryan civilization. Nazi archaeologists and SS operatives turned their gaze westward toward the Canary Islands, long rumored to be the mountain peaks of the sunken continent. They dug, mapped, and even measured the skulls of the local Guanche people, convinced these islanders were the degenerated remnants of an ancient Aryan elite. Some even believed Atlantis lay somewhere beneath the Atlantic Ocean itself, fueling secretive missions to the Azores and across parts of South America, where odd geological formations or indigenous myths were twisted to fit Nazi fantasy. Though the expeditions yielded little more than pseudo-scientific speculation and forged evidence, their impact was chilling. These voyages weren't just about archaeology. They were ideological tools, reinforcing Hitler's belief world-shaping destiny. By claiming ancient roots in every corner of the globe, the Nazis tried to rewrite the past to justify their brutal ambitions for the future. If Hitler was a politician, Heinrich Himmler was the true believer. As head of the SS, Himmler didn't just see his men as soldiers, he saw them as a new order of knights, warriors of an ancient mystical brotherhood. And like all secret orders, they needed a sacred place, a headquarters for the occult. Deep within Germany, in the shadow of war, stood a fortress unlike any other. Wewelsburg Castle was no ordinary headquarters. It was a temple of dark ambition, where SS officers weren't just soldiers, but initiates into a twisted new faith. Himmler redesigned the castle with ritual chambers, held ceremonial gatherings, and made his officers swear oaths in candlelit halls surrounded by runes and pagan symbols. The SS wasn't just a military force, it was a cult. Himmler's obsession extended to astrology and supernatural predictions. Some records indicate that Nazi officials consulted astrologers and psychics, though these beliefs had little documented influence on actual military strategies. Additionally, the SS was known to collect and study ancient relics and artifacts, believing they held hidden power, much like how historical alchemists sought the philosopher's stone in their pursuit of immortality and wisdom. One of the most striking aspects of Nazi mysticism was its use of symbols with deep esoteric meaning. The swastika, originally an ancient symbol of good fortune and spiritual power in Hinduism and Buddhism, was appropriated by the Nazis and twisted into an emblem of Aryan dominance. The SS runes, inspired by ancient Norse and Germanic scripts, were deliberately chosen to invoke mystical strength. This reflects how regimes throughout history have used symbols and myths to give themselves a sense of divine legitimacy. However, not all occult traditions aligned with Nazi beliefs. Some esoteric philosophies, particularly those tied to Freemasonry, Rosicrucianism, and Eastern mysticism, were seen as a potential threat. The Nazis suppressed secret societies, believing that these groups held knowledge that could undermine their racial ideology. Hitler himself was wary of uncontrollable mystical forces, preferring a state-controlled mythology that only reinforced Nazi supremacy. But here's the real question. Did the Nazi obsession with the occult really die with Hitler? After the war, secret files revealed that some of these occult-obsessed scientists weren't punished. They were recruited. By who? The United States, the Soviet Union, and more. This is similar to how Project Paperclip, a top-secret US program, recruited over 1,600 Nazi scientists, including rocket specialists like Werner von Braun, to work on space and weapons technology during the Cold War. Additionally, some post-war esoteric groups adapted Nazi symbology and racial mysticism, blending them with neo-pagan beliefs. While rumors persist about hidden Nazi relics, no verified evidence of such caches has been uncovered. Some historians believe Himmler's personal collection of occult books was never fully recovered, though no definitive proof supports this claim. Even after the war, Nazi occultism didn't just vanish. Some surviving SS officers and mystics fled to South America, where they helped establish neo-pagan movements that blended Nazi ideology with occult teachings. In the 1950s and 60s, some of these ideas even crept into the emerging UFO phenomenon. While no credible evidence supports these claims, the shadow of Nazi mysticism continues to loom over modern esoteric circles. So was this just Nazi insanity? Or is there something far darker hidden in history? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of history's darkest secrets.